Good afternoon, beautiful people. It's Philip Good speaking. This video I'm offering is entitled "My Wife Has Breast Cancer," and this is a true segment. It's my wife, obviously, of 49 years. Her name is Eileen. By the way, before I get going, I am a relationship coach. I work with couples. Like I said, my wife and I have been married for 49 years, so I've learned one or two things about relationships and, in particular, marriage. Um, But this video is concerning the topic of breast cancer and cancer in general, the big C. We hear that word cancer, we think, oh my God, um, it's it's the end of the world type thing, which is obviously natural, and in a sense, it also was in my case as well. Um, about 8 weeks ago, I felt that there was something a bit amiss with my wife. She wasn't quite right, um, physically, and that there was something wrong, but I couldn't put my finger on it. Anyway, around about 7 weeks ago, we went to the GP. My wife had another woman's checkup with the GP, and I just happened to be there as well. So I just asked our GP when the last time was my wife had a mammogram, and she looked up on the records and found that it was 5 years ago in 2021 since my wife last had a mammogram. Yet my wife's mother died of cancer at 73, the same age that my wife is now. So as what my mother-in-law, it was discovered that she had a couple of lumps under her armpit, but that was related to her breast, and so it was also breast cancer. But when she was discovered with her tumors, it was deemed to be stage 4, and she was given 13 weeks to live. So from August, she died a few days before Christmas. So it was way too late for her. Nothing could be done uh, to save her life, unfortunately. So of course, this was running through my head, and all these sort of questions. So the GP did a visual check, touch and feel my wife's breast, and couldn't feel any lump and so on. And but she said, "I'll send you through for a mammogram and a scan." So that duly happened a few days after we saw the GP. And anyway, I was waiting in the waiting room at the hospital. Of course, this is Warrigal Hospital in Gippsland, Victoria, Australia. And well, there was two processes. The first was a mammogram, and then Eileen came back into the waiting room, and then she was waiting for the second procedure, which was a scan. So when the nurse came in to get her for the scan, we were waiting there for quite some time, and a nurse came into the waiting room and spoke to another lady sitting beside me and said, "Oh, sorry for the delay, but there's a lady in there that's having a biopsy done." And I didn't realize at the time, I soon found out afterwards that it was my wife, Eileen, that was having a biopsy done. Because on the scan, they found that my wife had a dark mass in her left breast. And so they're doing the biopsy right there and then. And Julie sent it off to be checked. It came back that my wife, Eileen, had invasive lobular carcinoma, or cancer, in the left breast. It was a dark mass. It was about 17 millimeters in size. And when it's soft tissue like that, not a lump, a GP cannot feel anything. Nobody can feel anything. So, but it was the mammogram and, of course, the scan that picked up the fact that she did have, there was an issue there and there was a dark mass there. So, anyway, it was 5 years since she had a mammogram. So it was shocking to discover, of course, and in a way quite scary as well, of course, to find out that my wife had a dark mass there and it was cancerous. So the referral was sent to a specialist breast surgeon on the same day that we got the results from the GP. And the referral was sent across to the surgeon, and I actually rang the surgeon's office to see if I could get, because I came back with a text that came through to my phone to say that the first available appointment was 6th of August. before they could even get it, before my wife could even get in and see the surgeon, the specialist. And so I rang the office to say, are there any earlier appointments? And they said no, but if there is once the surgeon has seen all of Eileen's complete file, she might triage Eileen into an earlier appointment. I said, okay, well, hopefully that's the case then. And so anyway, within about an hour and a half of the same day, the referral was sent to the surgeon. I got a call from the office to say, can Eileen please come in straight away? The surgeon wants to see you right now. So on the same day, the referral was sent in the morning around about 10 o'clock. So by 3 p.m. on the same day in the afternoon, we were there right in front of the surgeon and there for about an hour and a half. And she gave us a complete rundown on what it all meant, what it all was. And of course, the need for urgency, because at that stage, it was 17 millimeters in size, the dark mass. But we didn't know at that stage whether it had spread to other parts of her body, and that so the surgeon said it's imperative. Speed is so important. I've got to get you in for surgery as soon as possible. So she actually had her operation on the 24th of July, just gone. But from the previous time we saw the surgeon, on the 13th of July, and to book the operation on the 24th of July. So between the 13th of July and the 24th of July to the date of the operation, you can imagine what things were running through my wife Eileen and in my heads. It was not good. Rather than a couple of weeks or 11 days, it felt like a month or 2 months, because it was a waiting game, right? And interesting, talking to the surgeon, she said it's probably imperative for every woman over 30 to have a mammogram and a scan every 2 years. If, on the other hand, you have a parent, or in Eileen's case, a mother, that died of breast cancer, it's probably imperative when you get to a certain age to have an annual mammogram and scan, because detecting and getting onto something early can save your life. But in our case, that did not happen. So you say you can't trust your GPs, all due respect to GPs, but in our case, if our GP was doing their job properly, Eileen would have had a scan 3 years ago, a mammogram and a scan 3 years ago, in 2023, again in 2025. That didn't happen. It was 5 years. So anyway, the operation came and went on the 24th of July. We had to go to La Trobe Hospital to have what you call a scout inserted into a breast, which shows the surgeon, what tissue to cut away in the breast. And also, she had nuclear medicine and dye put in her system to light up her lymph nodes and breast tissue. And because the surgeon was going to not only remove the breast cancer tissue in the left breast, but she was also going to remove 3 or 4 lymph nodes as well, so she could check to see whether the cancer had spread from the lymph nodes to other parts of her body. So anyway, period between the 24th of July until we saw the surgeon again on the 31st of July, there was 1 week. That week was probably even a longer period of time than the 11 days we were waiting for, since we saw the surgeon to the actual operation date, the 13th to 24th of July, the 11 days. Well, this week, 7 days from the date of the operation, the 24th to 7th, to seeing the surgeon on 31st of July, seemed like about 6 months. There's all sorts of things running through your mind, like thinking, what if this happened? What if that happened? What's it going to mean? And all the rest of it. And all we're thinking of is like chemotherapy and all your hair falling out and all the side effects of chemotherapy, of course, which not always, but can be devastating in its effect. So anyway, went into the surgeon's office on the 31st, and so the first thing she was going to do was change Eileen's dressings, in the breast and under her armpit, where they took the lymph nodes out. And he did say that, it's healing up well, Eileen, so, that's a good job. And then the only thing that was running through my mind was sitting there in the surgeon's office was, what's the story with the lymph nodes? And I asked that question when we went and sat down. She said, oh, yes, I'm getting onto that. And so when she did get onto it, before she said anything, she had a smile on her face. And I thought to myself, wow, I hope that smile means it's good. That's good news. And then she said, the results of the lymph nodes are that the cancer has not spread to the lymph nodes. It has not spread around your body. It's localized in the breast. And with the aid of the scout, I've taken out all the breast tissue we needed. I didn't need to do a mastectomy, and you don't require any more surgery on your breast, Eileen. And the sense of relief that I had was indescribable, really. And but the surgeon went on to say that Eileen would need chemotherapy and medication localized to her breast, a certain amount of chemotherapy. And 4 weeks after the operation, once all the armpit and the breast had healed completely, she would start radiation therapy, 5 weeks of radiation therapy, 5 days a week, daily, for 5 days for 5 weeks. And she said to Eileen and to myself, you are very lucky, a very lucky lady, Eileen. You've caught this cancer really, really early. So that was on Friday the 31st of July, just gone. She said, so go out and celebrate together this weekend. So we did. Really, what it emphasizes is that unfortunately, you can't trust your GPs to do the right thing at the right time. You've got to do your own research. And when you go and see a specialist and they emphasize the importance of women, particularly over 30, having a mammogram and scan every 2 years is absolutely vital. And if you have a family history, then you should be really insisting on getting a checkup annually, because it's so important to nip things in the bud rather than let it get to a point where, in my wife's case, had it spread to the lymph nodes, gone around the body, she could have also been stage 4 like her mum and pass away at the same age. So it was really touch and go, and it's really hit or miss, and it was just very lucky. So obviously my wife is feeling very fortunate, very grateful, and in a sense, very blessed as well, because we didn't know how long that dark mass in her breast had been there. And the surgeon did say that it was quite fast growing as well. So it was just very, very, very lucky. But of course, she's got this other treatment that's about to happen. About 10 days' time, she'll be starting the chemo and medication and hormone blockers and things like that. And then 4 weeks' time, radiation therapy. We did have our flights booked to New Zealand to go and go to the South Island, New Zealand, fly from Melbourne to Christchurch to see our children and grandchildren over there in the South Island. But we had to postpone that flight, and thank heavens we did have travel insurance, so we're able to delay that flight because, like the surgeon said, she'll be in the middle of radiation therapy, and it's imperative that she goes through the full course of that. So we're about to meet, in a few days' time, we're about to meet the oncology team, experts in their different fields, with our surgeon, breast surgeon being the head of that oncology team, of course. So to all the women out there, heed the advice of this breast surgeon and at least have a mammogram and a breast scan and a scan every 2 years. Because if you do that, it could very well save your life. It's about getting things early intervention, and getting the necessary treatment. And if possible, obviously, stop that spread around your body. There's one thing that my wife has been doing that may have helped her, and I'll share that with you. Throughout the last 5-6 years, we've both been having quite a large dose of vitamin D oil capsules. I've been taking about 16,000 units of vitamin D daily with 2 vitamin K2. And the vitamin K2 helps the vitamin D to be absorbed by the body. And apart from that, you've been taking a couple of magnesium tablets, a zinc tablet, and of course echinacea as well for general body and health well-being. So the reason I talk about the vitamin D is that I remember some years ago listening to a video from a really eminent surgeon in the States who was he's a prominent heart surgeon, but also takes on cancer patients who have already got tumors appearing in different parts of their body. And as soon as they come in to see him, he puts them on 40,000 units of vitamin D per day and a couple of vitamin K2. And as soon as he does that, he notices the tumors start to shrink start to reduce in size. But anyway, so it may well have, if you have an issue, it may well be a good idea. I mean, what does it cost? Yes, a bit of expense getting the vitamin D capsules, all capsules, but if it can help to shrink your tumors, or actually, if you're taking my wife's case, you took 16,000 units a day. That's over the last 5-6 years. Whenever she goes to the doctor, has a blood test, she's told that I've never come across a lady with vitamin D levels as high as yours are. So we don't know for sure, but it may have been a factor of Eileen's cancer, the dark mass in her breast, being contained in her breast and not having spread to her lymph nodes or around her body. It may have been stopping the acceleration in the size and intensity of that cancer. Well, I don't know for sure because I'm no expert, but I'm just sharing that with you. I mean, there's no harm in taking it. It may well help to be a preventative, or if you've got cancer, it might well help to treat it as well. Anyway, it's good news for my wife, and it's good news for us as well. Well, for us both, really. We've been married 49 years. Our 49th wedding anniversary was on 7th of May, just gone this year. So you have all these thoughts running through your head that, oh my God, we might not get to our 50th. But now we know we will. So in our case, it's we've been married for a long time. Pretty much for a lot of people, we've been married 49 years, longer than a lot of people have actually lived. So after 49 years, you're almost like one person. You become so united, so as one. You think as one, you have that telepathic connection. So I'm glad that it turned out the way. I'm particularly glad for my wife. I feel very, very blessed. So as a relationship coach, I guess that's why I do. That's why I'm a relationship coach, particularly working with couples in marriage and partnerships. Because obviously seeing couples happy, overcoming issues, and because sometimes you can mean it as a couple in a relationship, whether you're married or just partners, whatever. You can be so close to an issue that you might have that you can't see what somebody that's being objective and outside the emotional connection between the two of you. You can't see something. You can't see the wood for the trees, in other words. But sometimes it takes a little correction to get back on track. Anyway, I've shared the story of my wife, and fortunately, it has a happy ending, and I'm so wrapped for that. So we'll definitely have a big celebration for our 50th wedding anniversary next year on the 7th of May. And I said to my wife, with an ounce of luck, maybe we'll get through to our 60th in 10, 11 years' time. Who knows? In the lap of the gods. And yes, we have been doing a lot of praying, I tell you, and we thank the mighty beings up in heaven, Jesus and God, for the help they've given my wife. We both feel very blessed. On that note, love you and leave you. Love all you guys. And if I can help you in any way, it's Philip Good. You can go to philipgood.com. I've got a book there you can download, and or you can catch up with me on YouTube as well. It's Phil Good at 2109 on YouTube. Got a few YouTube videos there to check out, and send me an email if you like. My own personal email is philandeileen1977@gmail.com. So I've got a business email, but that's my personal one. So this is a very personal subject. So if I can help you guys anyway, at all possible, flick me an email, give me a shout out, and I'll be able to please help you. Love you and leave you. Bye for now. Love you. Bye.